Hey guys, this is the third video of our project, the third part of our project, and we are going to be talking about the next stage, which is researching and getting and gathering your resources for your project and doing some exploratory sketches to help you learn about the subjects that you're going to be drawing. You don't want to learn about how to draw these things when you go to do your final drawings for your project. You want to have sorted that out and done all of that erasing and mistakes and all of that. You want to do that on a separate sheet of paper so you don't tear up your watercolor paper too much. And that goes with any project really, is you want to spend some time working through some of those things that you're probably going to struggle with so that you don't have to struggle with them on the final piece. All right, so we're starting with, we already have our thumbnails and our color studies, and this is going to kind of be our, and the story also is going to be our source of the things that we need to tell the story visually. For this, we're going to need, we don't really need the sorcerer as much because we're not doing him. We're doing this one where it's just the hands. So I do need some pictures of some hands in the positions I want to draw them. And I also need to know what my ring is going to look like. I could just make up a ring, but I want it to kind of have some authenticity to it. So I'm going to do a little bit of research on rings, looking up some pictures of rings. I'm kind of placing the story in Eastern Asia, which is, like China, Korea, places over there, kind of in a distant time. And so I'm going to look for references from that part of the world to kind of tie that into the story visually and give it that kind of flair. And so that's kind of direct what I look up on the internet. And then for here, I've written down things I would need over here. I'm going to need the sorcerer, but he's going to be disguised as a merchant, an old merchant. So there's going to be some things about him that give him away as the sorcerer, as our character. But I also don't want him to be in full-on sorcerer mode. I want him to look more like someone selling lamps. And so he's supposed to be in disguise a little bit. So we're going to turn his evil sorcerer image down a little bit for this picture. And kind of have a half and half, because visually we still want you to know it's the sorcerer. And then we also need to have two different types of lamps. We need an old busted lamp and a new shiny lamp. And so we need some ideas. Do we want to do the same shape for both of those? I'm probably gonna go for a little bit more different and unique shape for this one, and then more of a traditional look for this one. Yeah, so we'll talk more about that later. And then the wall here, is it just going to be a plain wall? I would like to give it some kind of decoration to kind of make it feel like this is the outside of the palace, or this is part of the palace area. And so it gives you kind of that clue that that's where we are in this royal area. And then here we have the princess. What is she going to be wearing? First off, how do you draw people? You can't, most artists cannot just draw people out of the top of their head extremely accurately. If you've practiced a lot, you can get it pretty close, but it's always going to look better if you have references. And based on some of your guys' thumbnails, the stick figures you were drawing, you're definitely going to need some references for the figures. And so you need people to pose in these positions that you're going to draw based on your thumbnails. And so have people holding something. It doesn't have to be a lamp. The shape is similar to a shoe. So maybe you'd have someone just hold a shoe, and it kind of gives you that kind of idea, or the size of whatever it is in their hand, to kind of make it seem more accurate when you take the picture and when you draw it later. And so get some people, take some pictures. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But you'll need people. We're going to need some people for this. And then we're also going to need clothes. What kind of clothes are they wearing? And so, we already talked about the sorcerer / merchant look. For her, I'm going to go for, she's a princess or royalty. So I'm going to look up royal dresses and whatnot. But she's not in a super formal setting. She's kind of outside, leisurely. So more of a casual royal outfit. What would they wear on their off time? And then for this one, it's actually going to be the opposite of the dress. We'll just continue talking about the same thing, where it's the court dress, where it's going to be more formal and more, decorative, more, fancy, bigger. And so we'll look at that a little bit later. And I also wanted to put like a tiger in here. Or actually, you know what? I changed it. I was thinking tiger or lion, but I decided a dragon would be more intense, just to up it and make it seem more cool. Make Aladdin seem this, total awesome figure. He just conquered this evil sorcerer, and he's on top of the world now, and he's the king. And so, tiger or lion, which one's more fierce? Well, dragon kind of trumps them both. And so that's kind of the direction I was going with there. And I would also need a throne or a court. What would the royal court look like? And so those are some things I'm going to look up. And again, we're putting it in this part of the world, and so we need to look for those visual cues. What's going to help it look like that? And so these are the things that I need to find images for to help me draw them. And so I've created a list, and then you're going to do a couple things. The first thing you're going to do for things that you can't source yourself is you're going to search the internet. And so you're going to go on the internet and do detailed looks. Don't just look up lamp or oil lamp. Be specific. I went on, I looked up, Chinese oil lamps, ancient Chinese oil lamps. And then I looked up different dynasties, because the art was different in different dynasties, so the things they created would be different. So I looked up Shang Dynasty, I looked up Han Dynasty, I looked up Qin Dynasty, and Ming Dynasty. So there's lots of different dynasties. They all had their own kind of art movements. And so I went through all those and looked up different things that came out of that. And I'll show you some pictures now. When you start collecting images, you don't want to get too crazy. It's really dangerous, this stage of the project. It can be a lot of fun to learn new things about the world and how to communicate it. But you can kind of go down a lot of different rabbit holes. And this is something I struggle with a little bit. I love seeing all the different things that are out there, especially if it has to do with like history and ancient history and just things you weren't aware of before, and how things look and what kind of things they made. And so you kind of have to be careful and limit yourself to, am I going to really use this in my project? And then once you have an assortment of images, you want to organize them. And so here I have on my iPad here, I have Aladdin references, and then you can see I've created folders for each one: casual dress, formal dress, lamp, old shaman. Shaman is another name for sorcerer. Ring, throne, and the wall. And so if we look at lamp here, you can see there's a lot of different images here. It's an old style kind of oil lamp. This is a Chinese style oil lamp, which is a little different than what we were expecting. And then this is more of the traditional lamp, and I'll probably use this kind of shape for the new shiny one. And then contrast it with something a little older looking, a little bit more interesting. Here's another Chinese style lamp. And the flame would go in here, and the oil would, feed the flame. And it's kind of an interesting design, but it's a little bit too much for the reader to kind of jump to, I think. So I'm probably going to, look for something different. And so you can see I did a lot of different searches. I considered this one. This one was interesting. I almost went this direction. But then I found this lamp, and I really liked this one. I liked the dragon on it. I just like the shape. I like that it's different, but that it still kind of looks like something that could be a lamp. And that could have something special inside it. So I really like this one. This is probably the one I'm going to use for the genie lamp. This shape anyway, and then make it look old and dirty, and like something you would want to trade for something new and shiny. And so that's probably the direction I'm going to go with the lamp. And there's lots of different things here. We have the casual dress as well. All right, and so that's looking up on the internet. You also want to go and take your own photos so that you can more accurately represent the characters in the scenes exactly how you picture them or imagine them. And it's really important that we're starting with thumbnails and sketches first, because we want to exercise our imaginations. We want to come up with our own individual ideas, and then we want to go use the world to help create our idea. We don't want to take someone else's idea, and we don't want someone else's idea to generalize our idea or to or to make it look like everyone else's idea. We want our idea to be unique and our own personal vision. And so that's why it's important to come up with your own images first and then go on the internet out into the world and find images. And taking your own references is even better if you have access to things. And so for the casual dress, I got some pictures off the internet of styles of dresses. I liked the head, the jewels on the head for this one, and then probably the dress. It's even got that kind of green that I was going for. And then I had my daughter pose kind of in the position that I was thinking of she would be in. My wife was busy at the time, so I just used my daughter. And I'll have to change it, of course. But this is a good reference for me. I can make those changes. I can use this as a base and make her look like it's a grown woman. And then for the face, just an older picture of my wife here that I'm going to use to try and use that reference for the face. And so I have my own images, and I'm going to mix them with other images I found on the internet. And that combination together is really going to help it be unique and make it my own. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and start drawing here in a second, and I'll speed up the video and add some comments on top of it. But you can see I already started doing some drawing here. And you can see, here I'm just, kind of exploring what the sorcerer looks like. Just having a little bit of fun with it. And then, using that to kind of inform how I draw him here. You can see I kind of got rid of the hat. I didn't really find any good references that indicated he would even be wearing a hat. And he looked kind of sinister without the hat anyway, so I kind of liked it without. So I went ahead and did it that way. And just, you can see I used the newer, shinier lamp. I used the more traditional shape for that one. And I'm going to put the other one kind of up here, and the girl's going to be up here as well. And so I'll go ahead and get working on that, and I'll let you follow along and watch as I do that. And hopefully it'll turn out nice. And that's kind of the point of this sketch. This is just a sketch. This is just me practicing how it's going to look later, so I know how to draw it on the final. And then so hopefully it'll turn out nice, and if it doesn't, I'll erase it and keep working on it till I know how to draw well. And maybe in the course of my drawing I find out, hey, I need some more resources, or I need a different type of resource. Maybe the pictures I took aren't good enough, and maybe I need to get some more accurate pictures to help me draw it better. And so that's one thing. For me, it helps to print out photos. I didn't do that this time, but if it helps you and you have access to a printer, print out your photos to help you draw them better. And then remember, sketching, it's like practice. When you join the basketball team, you don't just start in the game and do great. If you've never played before, you need practice. You got to go to those team practices. You got to learn how to work together. You have to work on your drills. You have to work up your skills. And so sketching is exactly that. It's exercising your drawing skills, and it's practicing the set pieces that you're going to do for the game, for the final. And that's exactly what we're doing here. Is we're going to practice, and we're going to sketch, and we're going to work on the things we need to do for our final drawing. All right? Well, let's get to work, and I'll talk to you some more as we go. All right, so here I am. I'm starting to draw the arms for the princess as she's leaning on the wall. There's a picture of my daughter I took so that I could have some reference for it. And it really helped me out with the arms, even though my daughter's younger. I'm just basically stretching the arms out, making them a little bit longer. But after I'm done with this sketch, I'm going to decide that I really do need to go and take some better reference for the final. Some pictures of my wife, so that I have a better, more accurate reference, especially for the head and the face. And you'll see me struggle with it a little bit. I'll erase it and change it a couple times because I'm not super happy with it. And that's exactly what this stage is for, is to change things until they match the vision of the scene that you have in your head. Just keep working on it, keep hacking at it till it looks the way you want. Don't forget to draw details like fingers and hands. They can be intimidating, but remember, this is just a sketch. All right, and I actually took some time to come down here to draw the lamp. It was an odd shape, and I just needed to learn how to simplify it a little bit. You'll see I started with a center line for the main structure of it, because that center part of it's symmetrical, so we can start with that and it'll help to draw everything else. And as I get into it and it starts to turn out nice, it actually becomes a lot of fun. I just really started to enjoy working on this piece, and I'm learning something new about the worlds. I'm learning new shapes, and that's fun for me. So this was a really enjoyable part. And it doesn't matter that no one's really going to see it. I'm learning something, and maybe I'll put it on Instagram or something later. Another thing to notice that I drew everything lightly, and when I got to the details, I was able to draw them darker on top because I already know where they're supposed to go. And now that we know how to draw the lamp, I'm placing it in the scene with the princess, and she's going to trade that one for the new shiny lamp. All right, and here I'm, making her dress more appropriate for the scene. And I'll probably have my wife pose with her hair up so it feels a little bit more authentic. For a princess, I think the hair down is a little bit too casual. All right, so we're going to do a new sketch. I'm going to sketch out the ring and the hands. And you can see I'm just kind of winging it here and struggling. And I realized very quickly that, yes, I should use the reference that I took for this. You can see it's going much better, much more quickly. I could have continued struggling by just kind of winging it, and I still probably would have gotten an okay image, but I get a much better image by looking at the reference. And I don't have to copy it exactly. I really just need it to help me know where everything should be and then make changes to it. Like I made the fingernails longer, and I made the ring bigger, stuff like that. All right, here's another reference. This is my daughter's hands for Aladdin's hands for the picture. These actually turned out nice. I really like how the reference helped me draw these really well. All right, now I'm starting to shade it in. And you'll see I drew these ellipses, and it really helps me envision the three-dimensional form wrapping around the fingers. And when I shade it in, notice that I'm going in the direction as if it was a three-dimensional form. So I'm curving my shadows. And I'm using my ring as the light source. I really want that to be the focal point. And so the shadows are kind of facing away from that ring. And unfortunately, my video ran out of time. On my phone, I ran out of space. So here's the final image. And it turned out pretty nice. I like how that ring looks. It looks kind of cool, looks authentic. I'll probably go with that. Maybe I'll sketch a couple more rings just to see if I can come up with any more interesting shapes, but that's basically it.